April Delongpre had always been the perfect Southern belle. She is obedient, graceful, and ready to fulfill her duty as an heiress to a powerful family. But deep down, something different from the life that had been carefully planned out for her. And this is her story. When the carnival came to town, April's curiosity was piqued. She couldn't resist sneaking out with her two younger sisters to explore the fairgrounds. That's when she caught a glimpse of Perry Tyson, a rugged carnival roustabout. His rough edges and mysterious aura drew her in, but she knew she couldn't act on her impulses. She was already engaged to Chad Fairchild, the perfect match chosen by her parents. But fate had other plans. When April accidentally left her wallet on one of the rides, Perry returned it to her and introduced himself. Intrigued by the mysterious drifter, April returns to the carnival that evening to talk with Perry, but she refuses his advances. Chad, her fiancé, went away on a business trip. Her parents and siblings had also left for a family reunion. Little did she know that this weekend would change her life forever. April was home alone, enjoying a quiet day to herself. As she was fixing herself a cup of tea, she heard the sound of water running in the shower room. Confused, she walked towards the bathroom and peeked inside. To her surprise, she saw Perry taking a bath in her shower room. What she saw was a sight that made her heart race and her cheeks flush. Panicked, April ran to call for help, but as she reached the front door, she stopped in her tracks. April felt a surge of desire that she had never experienced before. She quickly turned away, trying to regain her composure. But when Pay stepped out, wearing nothing but a towel, April's willpower crumbled. She couldn't resist his charm any longer and gave in to her urges. They had wild, passionate lovemaking that left April feeling alive and liberated. Their affair was passionate and thrilling, but also filled with guilt and shame. April couldn't help but feel conflicted about betraying Chad and her family's expectations. Seeking solace, she confided in her grandmother Belle, who had always been her confidant. But Belle sensed that something was off and asked the local sheriff to keep an eye on April. And when April returned to the carnival to see Perry, she was shocked to find him drunk and in the company of another woman, Patty Jean. Jealousy consumed her as she watched them flirt, but Patty Jean surprised her by taking her under her wing and showing her a different side of life. As they drove to get more liquor, Patty Jean's flirtatious banter made April question her own desires, but she was determined to resist. At the carnival, suddenly, a malfunction caused the wheel to stop and the cars to sway dangerously. Perry sprang into action to help rescue the riders, but as he reached the wheel, he was met with hostility from other workers. A brawl broke out, with Perry defending the riders and the others accusing him of causing the malfunction. Patty Jean and April returned just in time to see the chaos and joined in the fight, taking down anyone who dared to harm Perry. But in the chaos, Perry's beloved dog was accidentally killed by one of the workers. The rest of the fairground workers ordered Perry and the women to leave. Heartbroken and angry, Perry buried his dog in a nearby field. April and Patty Jean, determined to lift his spirits, took him to a bar and pool hall. As they danced and drank, Patty urged her to go back to Perry and continue their tryst. Patty had always known that Perry was the one for April, despite her initial hesitation. After Patty Jean left town, Perry took April for a ride on his motorcycle. They ended up at a secluded motel, where they gave in to their passion once again. As they lay tangled in the sheets, April couldn't believe how much she had fallen for Perry in such a short time. They spent the night talking, laughing, and making love. But when she woke up the next morning, she realized that she had left her car at the fairgrounds where the carnival had moved on, unaware that the sheriff was following her. When she returned to the motel, she found Perry flirting with two motel housekeepers. Angry and hurt, April stormed out, but at the end they reconciled. She took Perry to a local restaurant. Over breakfast, she opened up to him about her life and her family's property, 2 Moon Junction, which held many childhood memories for her. But as much as she wanted to continue their affair, April knew it was time to end things. She had a privileged life waiting for her and she couldn't risk losing it all for a fling with a drifter. Quarrel erupted again. Just as she was about to leave, Sheriff Hawkins appeared and arrested Perry. He drove him to the state line, warning him never to return. April couldn't shake the memories of her time with Perry. She realized that she had taken a risk and experienced a different kind of love, even if it was short-lived. A few weeks later, on the eve of her wedding, as she stood in her wedding dress, surrounded by the hustle and bustle of preparations for her big day, a familiar figure caught her eye. It was Perry, working tirelessly to build the perfect tents for her wedding reception on her family's property. But their happy moment was short-lived as Belle appeared and threatened Perry to leave town. As the night wore on, April found herself drawn to Perry once again. They met at the Two Moon Junction, where he had left her a message to meet him. Despite her best intentions, April and Perry made love for the last time. But as she lay in his arms, April knew she had to let him go. She tearfully walked out, leaving Perry behind, and returned to her life. Meanwhile, Chad, April's fiancé, was enjoying his bachelor party at a rundown pavilion by the lake. Little did he know, April and Perry meet there. As the sun rose on the morning of the wedding, Perry packed his bags, ready to leave town and start a new life. But as he stepped out of his motel room, he was met with a gun pointed at his head by one of Sheriff Earl's deputies. But Perry was quick to disarm the deputy, using his skills honed from years of living on the streets. He knew he had to leave town quickly before the sheriff and his men caught up to him. Meanwhile, on her wedding day, April couldn't help but think of Perry and their passionate but doomed love affair. April stood at the entrance of the church, her heart heavy with doubt. She couldn't go through with the wedding, not when she wasn't sure if Chad was truly the one for her. Slowly, April's doubts began to fade away as she listened to Belle's words. She warned April that Perry had left town, bribed by someone who wanted to keep him away from her. April's heart broke at the thought of Perry being bought off, but deep down, she knew it wasn't true. With renewed courage, April walked down the aisle towards Chad, her heart filled with love and certainty. And as they exchanged their vows, April knew that she had made the right decision. Sometime later, Perry was working as a dishwasher at a blues nightclub in another town. It was a far cry from the life he had dreamed of, but he was grateful for the job and the roof over his head. As he walked back to his motel room, he couldn't help but feel lonely. As he entered his room, he was greeted with a surprising sight. April, his love, was in his bathroom, taking a shower. As they embraced and kissed, April's wedding ring glinted in the bathroom light. But in that moment, it didn't matter. They were together, and that's all that mattered. They made love in the shower. April's heart was torn. She was married to Chad, but she couldn't deny her feelings for Perry. But as they lay in each other's arms, she knew that this was where she truly belonged.